6 lies your brain tells you when you are anxiously attached, and how they sabotage your relationship without you realizing it, and what you can do about this. Let's talk about the sneaky little thing your anxious brain loves to tell you when it feels threatened and unsure. It tells you stories that feel true but are not facts. These stories are called cognitive distortions. They are mental shortcuts your brain uses to try to protect you from pain and rejection, but instead they're usually blowing things out of proportion, make you doubt yourself and the relationship or your partner, and push people away even when they don't mean to. Understanding this is key to creating a secure love, a secure relationship with yourself and with your partner. Not because you'll never think these thoughts again, but because you'll start to question them instead of acting on them like they're 100% true. By the way, in the end, I'll give you some action steps you can try at home after learning more about these 6 little lies, so you can apply them in your everyday life, because actions create results, and not just listening to the podcast and creating all these awareness pieces. So, by the way, welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. I'm Yula, the Anxious to Secure coach. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. Let's break down the 6 biggest ones that your brain tells you if you have an anxious attachment style, and to give you really a reality check. Number 1 is emotional reasoning. It sounds like, because I feel like it must be true, right? This one gets loud when your nervous system is panicking. Your brain starts spinning stories to explain that feeling, but feelings aren't always facts. It might sound like, I feel insecure, so something must be off between us. Or I feel anxious after my partner went quiet. That means he's pulling away. This means he's not in love with me anymore. Or this feels so bad, so I must be in a wrong relationship. This must be my intuition. Or I feel rejected after that first date text, so he probably doesn't even like me. Basically, you jump into conclusions because of an emotion you have. I feel left out, so they must not value me anymore. Before you jump to conclusions, ask yourself these few questions. What evidence do I actually have that this thought is true? If I weren't feeling this emotion right now, what else might I see? What am I missing here? Could this feeling be from my past, not what's happening from right now? And how might I gently test this thought before I really truly believe in this? So consider this instead. I'm feeling anxious, but anxiety doesn't always tell the truth. I can question the story I'm telling myself about the situation. Or my body is reacting, but I can slow down and check what's really happening. This might feel like a rejection, but maybe it's not a gap in the communication. Or feelings are important, but they're not always the whole picture. The lie number 2 your anxious brain is telling yourself is overgeneralization. Overgeneralizing things. God, this is a tongue breaker for me. It's like, because it's happening once, it always happens. This one takes a single hard moment and turns it into this entire story. Like, one bad day means everything is doomed, for example, in your relationship. Your brain loves to paint a black and white picture when reality is full of shades of gray. Little example here, I remember the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp story. Everyone was trying to figure out, is Johnny Depp the bad guy or is Amber Heard the one who was lying? In the end, everyone was like, a Johnny Depp fan. But in the end, Johnny Depp was also not the one who was very innocent in the situation. But nobody really cared in the end. They're always trying to see, hey, who's the villain and who is the hero here. But there was no hero in the situation. Johnny Depp also did lots of bad things in the situation. So really, you want to train your brain to see all the shades of gray. not just the good and the bad. In more real life situations, this might look like he didn't answer my message today, means he never prioritizes me, or she forgets my birthday, or you're thinking because we had this one argument yesterday, we're probably not meant to be because, conflicts are bad, or the date didn't go well. So you tell yourself dating never works for me, or, she bailed once, so I can't count on anyone ever again. But you want to ask yourself, what is the whole truth here? So consider this instead. One missed message doesn't erase all the times maybe this person has showed up for you. Or maybe she forgets it this time, but people do care about you. Or one fight doesn't decide your entire future. This one date wasn't great, but it doesn't define all dating experiences, right? So here's some coaching questions you can ask yourself, or you can journal. Am I telling the story of my past, or what's happening right now? What's one way this moment might be different than last time? What are some gray areas I'm missing out here? Am I just seeing it as black and white? How would I talk to a friend if they would say this? And what small moments of evidence do I have that this could be okay? This belief is not true. And lie number 3 you might be telling yourself is should statements. Should statements is also a cognitive distortion. It's very typical if you have an anxious attachment style. It sounds like they should do this, or I shouldn't do this, and it means something is wrong. So your brain sets these rules that are often impossible or unfair for you or other people. It's like you have guidelines and like a rule book of how people, the world, and yourself should behave. But it creates pressure and resentment and disappointment when those shoulds aren't met, and they're very unrelenting high standards nobody ever can meet. So here's how they might sound like. He should know what I need without asking. He should have texted by now. That means I don't matter, or I shouldn't feel this way. He should plan the second date. He should check in more. Consider thinking this instead. Who decided this should or this shouldn't be? Or I should be thinking this or feel this? Is it really mine? What if instead I made a clear request or asked a question? Maybe it's okay if things don't go my way or this very specific way. Can I be just curious instead of judgmental? Who says I should or they should? Does it written in the Bible? And can I make up my own rules and drop my guard on very specific standards and be okay anyway? So you could ask yourself these questions, for example. Who decided this should or this shouldn't be like this? If I dropped the shoulds, what would I want or ask for instead? How would I feel if I let go of this rule? Can I be okay anyway? What's a kinder way to approach the situation? And what feels normal for us, for our relationship? And the cognitive distortion number 4 is labeling and blaming. It might sound like this. If I feel bad, someone must be to blame. Probably me, right? So this one puts a heavy label on yourself or others, like needy or selfish or broken. It traps you in this shame or anger thing and stops you from moving forward. It sounds like I'm so needy, no one will ever want me. Or I'm so anxious all the time, I'm just an anxious person. Or he's so selfish, he's so avoidant. And all men are like this. Or I always ruin things, I'm just too intense, I'm too emotional. Or I texted him twice. I'm so embarrassing. I didn't get invited, probably because I'm so annoying. Instead of doing this, consider, am I really this way? Am I really broken? Or am I just hurting? Is it just a part of me who feels like this or is this way? Or is it just the whole me? People make mistakes. It's not about blame. Needing connection is human. It's not wrong. Can I have more empathy for myself and other people? This feeling is a sign I need care, not shame. So ask yourself, what label am I giving right now And is this really helping? What if this isn't anyone's fault, just something to work on? How would I comfort a friend or even my child in the situation? What small step can I take to be kinder to myself right now? And cognitive distortion number 5, another lie you're telling yourself if you have an anxious attachment style, is mind reading. Very typical. So I know what they're thinking, and it's not good. This one sneaks up when your brain fills in the blanks without any proof, or when you think you have the proof. So you assume you know what your partner or your friends are thinking, especially about you, even though you haven't asked or heard a word from them. You're probably just reading into micro shifts of their mood or reading between the lines. So it's your anxious attachment brain trying to predict danger, but really it's just guessing from your fears based on, again, an emotion. So you think, she's mad at me, or you assume he's bored, or you decide they're pulling away because of me or us, there's something wrong. Let's say she hasn't replied to you in a while, and you mind read and think she must be mad at me, or he was quiet on the call or on the conversation, and you mind read, I think he's bored of me, our conversation, I'm just a boring person, or they didn't smile at my message, so they're pulling away. He didn't text back fast enough, he's clearly not interested. She's not being warm today, so she probably doesn't like me anymore. So you're making assumptions and trying really to think what they're actually thinking, what their brain is producing in their mind. But these are made up stories, they're not facts. So consider this. I don't actually know what they're thinking. They haven't said it. So who knows? If I don't ask, I wouldn't know. There are other possible explanations out there. I can check in or wait for more information. Guessing can make me feel worse. I can pause before assuming things, before I reinforce my old typical nightmare story. And you can also ask yourself, what am I imagining they're thinking? And what else could be true? What are the facts of the story? Have I actually asked, or am I guessing based on my fear? And what would I say to a friend who thought this? Again, a very powerful question, because if we put ourselves in our friend's shoes, we would give them a total great advice. We would never, act this way. Or you can also ask yourself, how can I stay curious instead of jumping to conclusions? And number 6, the last cognitive distortion is catastrophizing. So it's not just bad, it's the end of the world. This one is loud when you've got an anxious attachment style. Your brain spots one thing that feels off and turns it into the worst case scenario. It's your nervous system trying to predict pain before it happens. But instead of you protecting you, it just traps you in fear loops and you can't escape it. And if you imagine something like the worst case scenario, it feels true in your body and in your brain, and you're actually living out the moment right now. So it's important that you break the loop. So maybe you jump from this is bad to this is doomed, or you confuse discomfort with danger, or you mistake silence with abandonment and rejection and make it personal. So he hasn't replied in hours and you know it's over. You just don't assume it, you just know it for sure. And you had one argument and you're already imagining them breaking up with you and packing your bags, and you're imagining you have to find a new apartment or something like this. Or he seems a little distant today or a bit stressed, and you're like, oh my god, he's falling out of love with you. So these stories feel so real, but they're not facts. But you just keep replaying them in your mind, and the more often you do it, the more often you're literally creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you need to stop, name the cognitive distortion, and reframe it. Like, my brain is trying to protect me, not predicting the truth. This fear doesn't mean it's happening. I can slow down and look for evidence and not panic yet. Discomfort is not dangerous. I can sit with this feeling. You can also ask yourself, what's the most likely outcome here? Not just the scariest. What if the opposite was true? If the situation doesn't mean total doom, what else could it mean? What would I say to my best friend again? How can I soothe myself right now without making it worse? What are 3 positive scenarios here? So, your anxious brain's distortions, they are not you. Remember this. They're just your nervous system's way of trying to protect you, even if it feels like a sabotage. Every time you catch yourself believing those anxious stories, you can pause to question them, to create a little bit more safety inside of yourself. And this is the real work of becoming more secure, starting mentally as well, right? Not about being perfect and never having these thoughts again, but starting to become aware of them, labeling them, and challenging these thoughts and seeing what else could be true here. And you can tell yourself, hey, brain, thank you for trying to protect me, but you know what? Let me check the facts first. And you can do this exercise for the next 7 days. Again, actions create results. You want to really take action on this. So commit for example, 7 days to track your anxious brain's lies. Write them down, your cognitive distortions daily. How is your brain trying to protect you and keep you safe? After a conversation or during your self-talk, notice, are you using should statements? Or are you basing your conclusions based on your feelings? Are you labeling things in like black or white? When you catch your distortion, pause and ask yourself these questions. Is it really true? What else could be true here? Are there any gray areas in between? Am I basing this conclusion based on my feelings? Or what would a trusted friend tell me? Or what would I tell a little kid? As someone who's jumping to conclusions or feeling scared? Or am I jumping to a worst case scenarios? Am I only seeing the negatives here? Am I ignoring other possibilities? The more you are becoming aware of your lies, of your distortions, the more you can realize that these are not facts. And by challenging them gently, you're opening up for more possibilities and you're rewiring your neural pathways and becoming more securely attached. And this is not about forcing yourself to think positively. It's about stepping out of your survival mode and letting your gray areas, the neutral areas, the uncertain and the also hopeful areas to be there as well, parallel to the other possibilities. So remember, change in relationship starts with you. Thought by thought, as we learned today, action by action, and now episode by episode. Let me know in the YouTube comments which one of these cognitive distortions you are most familiar with, and check out in the attachment library free resources, checklists, downloads, journaling prompts, and much more resources. Also mini courses and ways to work with me one-on-one. If you're interested, jump on a free call with me through a Calendly link or email me to check if we are a right match for each other and if there are any spots available. Anyways, I'm so glad you're here and you're actually doing the inner work. This is going to be so powerful in the long run, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Yula. Bye bye.